A rifle manufactured in the United States was sold legally to a government considered an American ally. That government transferred it to forces operating in a conflict zone. Those forces lost it, sold it, or abandoned it. It was recovered by investigators at the scene of an attack on civilians. The serial number was traced by American authorities back to the original manufacturer. The manufacturer had not violated any law. The government that bought it had not violated any law. The exporting agency had not violated any law. The system had worked exactly as it was designed. The United States is the world's largest arms exporter. It accounts for more than 40% of all global conventional arms transfers. In fiscal year 2023, the U.S. government approved approximately $238 billion in arms sales to foreign governments. These sales are legal. They are approved by Congress. They are processed through the Defense Security Cooperation Agency. They are a central pillar of American foreign policy. The question this episode asks is not whether these sales should happen. The question is, what happens to the weapons after the sale is complete? When the U.S. government sells weapons to a foreign government, it is supposed to monitor where those weapons go. This is called end-use monitoring. The Government Accountability Office has audited this system multiple times. Its most recent assessment found that the United States physically checks less than 1% of all exported weapons annually. For the other 99%, the government relies on paperwork submitted by the buyer. The buyer certifies that the weapons are being used as agreed. The certification is largely self-reported. The verification is largely absent. So let's trace the routes, the documented ones, the ones that American agencies have investigated, confirmed, and in some cases, been unable to do anything about. There are two main channels through which the United States transfers weapons to foreign governments. The first is foreign military sales, FMS, where the U.S. government acts as the intermediary. The buyer government pays the U.S. government. The U.S. government buys from the manufacturer and transfers to the buyer. Congressional notification is required above certain dollar thresholds. The second is direct commercial sales, DCS, where a U.S. manufacturer sells directly to the foreign buyer with a State Department export license. Both channels have end-use monitoring requirements. Both channels have been documented as sources of diverted weapons. The weapons don't disappear because of flaws in the approval process. They disappear after the approval, in the space between the sale and the monitoring. That space is very large. Yemen. Journalists from CNN and the Associated Press documented American-made weapons, rifles, grenade launchers, armored vehicles, in the hands of forces that the U.S. had not authorized to receive them. The weapons had been sold to Saudi Arabia and the UAE, both of which are parties to the conflict in Yemen. The transfer to unauthorized forces violated the terms of the sale agreements. Iraq and Syria. When the Iraqi army collapsed in the face of the Islamic State advance in 2014, it left behind significant quantities of American-supplied weapons. The Islamic State used those weapons against American-backed forces for years afterward. Haiti. Reuters documented American firearms in the hands of Haitian gangs whose serial numbers traced back to guns that had passed through the Haitian National Police. In each case, the diversion was documented after the fact. In each case, the original sale had been legal. In each case, accountability was limited. In August 2021, the Taliban completed its takeover of Afghanistan as American forces withdrew. What they inherited included approximately $7 billion in U.S.-supplied military equipment, aircraft, vehicles, weapons, communications equipment, night vision devices, body armor. The Department of Defense Inspector General documented the scale of the loss, $7 billion. This was not diversion in the traditional sense. weapons slipping through cracks in a monitoring system. This was the entire Afghan security force, which the United States had equipped over 20 years, collapsing in days and leaving everything behind. The equipment captured in 2021 included weapon systems that the U.S. military assesses could be used against American forces in future conflicts. The end-use monitoring system was not designed for this scenario. No monitoring system is. When a government collapses, the paperwork becomes irrelevant. In 2007, the Government Accountability Office published a report on conventional arms transfers and end-use monitoring. It found significant weaknesses in the system for verifying that weapons reached their authorized end users. In 2010, the GAO published a follow-up report. It found the same weaknesses. In 2014, the GAO published another report. Same weaknesses. In 2023, the GAO published its most recent assessment. The fundamental deficiencies remained unchanged. 16 years, 4 reports, 1 conclusion. The system for monitoring where American weapons go after they are sold is not adequate to prevent diversion. The system has not been fundamentally changed in 16 years of documentation that it doesn't work. The reason is not ignorance. The reason is that the system that approves the sales is the same system that would have to restrict them. The GAO found the same problem in 2007, and in 2010, and 2014, and 2023. The system has not fundamentally changed. The arms export system generates significant economic benefits for American manufacturers, American workers, and American foreign policy goals. Restricting sales to prevent diversion would cost those benefits. The political constituency for stronger end-use monitoring is smaller than the political constituency for continued arms exports. Arms manufacturing employs hundreds of thousands of Americans in dozens of states. Every congressional district that has a major defense contractor has a representative with a direct political incentive to keep the export pipeline open. The monitoring system that would restrict that pipeline requires the same Congress to fund it, staff it, and give it enforcement authority. The incentive structure points in one direction. The oversight function points in the other. The oversight has been losing for 16 years. I want to be precise about what the argument here is and what it is not. This is not an argument that the United States should not sell weapons to allies. It is an argument about what happens to those weapons after the sale. The manufacturer followed all regulations. The export agency approved the license. The buyer government signed the end-use certificate. The monitoring system checked less than 1%. The weapon reached an unauthorized user. At each step, someone was acting within their authority. At no step did anyone break American law. The 12 episodes of this series have mapped minerals, shipping lanes, drug routes, military bases, criminal networks, rare earths, submarine cables, gold routes, Chinese infrastructure, organ markets, a debt-trapped paradise, and now the route of American weapons to unauthorized users. Each system has the same architecture, a process that is legal at every step, a gap between what the law permits and what the outcome produces, an institutional response that documents the gap without closing it. If the manufacturer followed the law, and the government approved the sale, and the buyer signed the certificate, and the monitor checked 1%, and the weapon killed someone it wasn't supposed to kill, who is responsible?